Chapter 7 Meditation with Pearl. I felt a tug in my heart to again see Pearl, but resisted. My rational mind told me that she had answered all my questions, but I didn't need to take more of a time. There were many people who were coming to see her now, and I had gotten her message, which seemed to be a simple one. Your I am presence is God, and can be called into action with the words, I am. I didn't see what purpose it would serve to go back and visit her again. I was not yet fully conscious of the etheric substance that was imparted to me while in her presence. That beyond her words, the masters were transmitting knowledge directly to me on higher levels. However, the urge to call her on the phone would not let me alone. After an hour of struggling with myself, I found a payphone outside a grocery store and rang her number. Come out, Pearl said. When? I asked. Right now. Now? Yes. I have been waiting for you. As soon as I arrived, Pearl said, What kept you? You were supposed to be here an hour ago. You have kept the master waiting. I was crushed. I had let the master down. I had felt the call, but let my mind get in the way. I realized that I would have to learn a new way of thinking, or rather, not thinking, of acting from my heart without questioning why. Just do it. You don't need to figure out why. You can't figure it out anyway, I told myself. To know why would be to suppose I knew more than I did. That my mind, with its limited data, could determine what was right, when frequently what was right was to act contrary to the obvious. I was quickly learning that the masters didn't work along the lines of human reason. They saw the big picture, and when their guidance was translated into the ordinary human mind, the message was frequently, feel what is in your heart, then act, and don't look back. But that was not how I had lived my life up until then. I had been trained to play it safe, to always understand first what I was going to do, to think out what was best, come to a logical conclusion, and then act impeccably. But now, impeccability seemed to be in acting without thinking. With our limited data, limited view, how could we possibly know what was right? Always follow the prompting in your heart, Pearl began, even if you don't understand why. In the presence of direct guidance, follow common sense. But when the guidance within the center of your being is leading you, forget about common sense. When you first felt the call to come here an hour ago, you should have followed the prompting. You didn't need to phone. The more you meditate on the center of your being, the stronger your reception and recognition of the guidance will become. You will feel the magnetic center of your being, just as iron filings feel the core of the magnet and obey its attraction. Perhaps this is what the Tibetan Buddhists meant by crazy wisdom, I thought. Wisdom that transcends human logic. Now, Pearl said, giving me a penetrating look, would you like to meditate? Sure, I said, starting to slide to the floor and cross my legs to sit in the lotus position. I had learned this in India. Stay in the chair, she said. Legs straight, feet flat on the floor, hands on thighs. Now turn your attention within. Eyes open, she commanded, and just relax. Your mind is like an office. You've got to shut the filing cabinet, lock the office door, and come downstairs into the cathedral, she said, pointing to her heart. Turn your attention here to the very center of your being, she continued. Now that you are in the cathedral, you and God are alone. But don't have a one-sided conversation where you do all the talking. Be still and listen to what God has to say back to you. A throb within my heart confirmed the truth of her instruction, as though to say, yes, put your attention here on me, this soft, vulnerable spot you try to protect. This is where I dwell. Although we were not staring, our eyes were open to each other, and as we both turned our attention inward to the presence within our hearts, I felt my gaze go out of focus, dissolving in a golden haze that began to fill the room. The further I dove within, the brighter the light became. Pearl was doing with me what I had done alone as a child, but never dared to tell anyone. Keeping secret such magical moments of blissful dissolution, when the world dissolved into timeless awareness. I didn't want any teacher or classmates to think something was wrong with me. Those moments would happen spontaneously at the most inopportune times, such as in the middle of a baseball game, Saturday morning, when suddenly I would be gone, not aware of who or where I was. They used to put me in right field, as balls were hardly ever hit there. Once I came back from one of my escapes into timeless awareness to find the right fielder from the other team standing beside me. Hey, you're at bat, he shouted. And I realized, embarrassed, that I had not seen my team leave the field minutes before. Guys were supposed to be tough, but I had no desire for competition. Instead of competing, why don't we work together and use that energy to create something useful? Another time, in second grade, while hanging my clothes on a hook in the cloakroom after recess, I suddenly felt myself dissolving, a delicious warmth suffusing through my body. As I lost awareness of who and where I was, and what I was supposed to be doing, dissolving into that blissful state of no awareness of self. Perhaps it had been no more than a few seconds, but that joyful expansion beyond the ego had refreshed and renewed me, though I had to shirk the questioning looks of those who had been watching my motionless form. Now Pearl was leading me back to that receptive, feminine surrender that wanted to pull me inward to my true self, to heal, guide, teach, and empower me. Yet, part of me was afraid to let go, to renounce the control of the rational mind that kept me locked within the protective box of reason. So, I forced myself to once again let go, as I had as a child, and surrender to that inner force of silent knowing. Now say silently, I am, the living light, Pearl continued. I did as she directed, and the room became brighter, as though someone had thrown a switch on a hidden lamp. I am the living light, I repeated over and over, keeping my attention on the presence within. As through half-closed eyes, I watched the light in the room grow in intensity. Finally, unable to contain my exuberance, I broke my focus and exclaimed, "That's it!" "That's what?" Pearl inquired, amused at my enthusiasm. "The light," I've heard people say. "Have you seen the light?" All my time in India, going from guru to guru, not one of them taught me to see the light. I never saw it until now, sitting here in your living room. This is the inner light that Jesus said, "Light every man that come into the world." Pearl responded, acknowledging my discovery, then continuing, "Now you must learn to bring that light down into your heart and consciously send it out into the world. That is why your health has suffered, because in your meditation, you were going out of your body. Instead, you must learn to bring the light of God down into your body, to bring that divine light down, to qualify it with positive attributes, and then send it forth into the world. To accomplish good works is true mastery, what you have been brought here to learn. Know that there is no limit to that light. The light of God never fails. You can call it forth at will to do whatsoever you choose. Its power will be determined by the extent to which you can unify the masculine power of the mind to visualize with the feminine power of the heart to qualify and bring into manifestation. The union of these two is the secret of creation. Pearl continued her seemingly simple yet profound instruction. This is the great law of the masters, the law of creation that you have been sent here to learn. Whenever you say, "I am," you are calling forth the source, the inner light, and whatever follows those words is what you are calling into being. The greater realization of the "I am," the greater your acceptance of the great God presence that you are, the quicker will be the manifestation of whatever you call forth. This is your God-given power to create. It is said in the Bible, God made man in his image and likeness. Since we are the image and likeness, if God can create, so can we. Just be sure you create consciously, Pearl warned, that you create only what brings benefit to the world. For if you miscreate with that light, whatever you bring forth will come back to you to deal with. You will have to suffer the consequences of your creation, which is why we humans are still here on earth today. Many eons ago, we experimented with that light, and now we are cleaning up the consequences of those actions. We were like children at that time, not knowing what we were doing. Now that we are adults, we must clean up the mess and teach others how to use their creative energy for good. Remember, energy travels in a circle. It is magnetic and attracts other similar energies to itself, then returns to you, amplified manifold. Think, feel, and bring into manifestation only that which you want to experience yourself, for that is what you will get. What you give is what you receive, and how you give is how you receive. This is how Jesus created, how all masters create. The unified focus of thought and feeling, word and action brings about the release of tremendous power. I was enthralled by the simplicity of Pearl's words. Why had I never heard any of this before? How could I have gone through years of college and graduate school and not ever heard of this inner light, the sustaining power of life, and the great laws of creation? I had neither been taught the meaning of life nor how to earn a living in the world. All those wasted hours spent writing term papers, all the effort and money down the drain. I realized that I had learned nothing but how to play elaborate mind games. I had been in a sort of nursery school all these years, not learning anything that would be of use to me. Leaving the graduation ceremony, I had walked down the street away from the auditorium, diploma in hand, but desolation in my heart over the sudden realization that I had wasted so many years of my life in the empty pursuit of academia that had little bearing on real life. If you want peace, Pearl was saying, say, I am peace. Then you will become peace. Peace will flow through you into the world. There is no limit to the peace you can create and send forth to any location on earth using the power of your attention focused by your spoken word. Again, the combination of thought and feeling, visualization and qualification. The power to visualize is the male aspect. The power to qualify with energy is the female aspect. Thoughts, words, feelings, or actions alone do not work. It is the unified power of them together that brings thought into manifestation. If you want wisdom, say, I am wisdom. If you want abundance, say, I am abundance. If you want love, I am love. What your attention is upon and what you feel, you become. As you think and feel, so it is. This is your mastery, your God-given power to create. Of course, then you need to go out and do something. Your action coalesces your inner work and brings your words into manifestation. Some say they have tried this great law and it doesn't work. I asked them, how long did you try? How long did you hold the focus without wavering? What did you think and feel and say later on that day? Did you say, think, feel, or do anything that contradicted and cancelled what you were trying to create? If you affirm love for 10 seconds, and then for the rest of the day dwell in your habitual perception that you are unloved, you have more than cancelled your positive affirmation. The affirmation is but a seed that must be constantly watered by your attention and kept free of the weeds of doubt by your constant self-awareness. This is not a matter of chance, but the working of a law that works without fail. You may also have had many lifetimes of doubt, of negative affirmation, of low self-esteem that created the feeling of lack. You may have lived many lifetimes in fear. Do you expect that now, in 5 minutes, 5 days, or even 5 weeks of positive affirmation, you will dispel all those dark clouds with just a few minutes of sunlight? Though it may take a bit longer than you expect, you have to begin somewhere, and now is the best time. In fact, now is the only time. The light of God is emanating from you constantly without ceasing, ever present like the sun, whether you see it or not, creating your life anew every moment. Whatever image you hold in front of that inner light, you create in your life. To change your life, change the image by changing your mind. You are constantly recreating your life at every moment. Could you but break free of habitual thought, you could be and achieve anything you want in the twinkling of an eye. God is unlimited. Identify with that unlimited self. Mastery is freeing yourself of fixed ideas and habitual tendencies, and then learning to create with that light consciously at will. This great law is a tremendous responsibility. Do you think you are ready for that responsibility? The masters have been guiding you through all the painful experiences of your life to help you purify yourself for this great responsibility. But you must make the choice. Many are called, but few are chosen, it says in the Bible. What the masters say is, many are called, but few can be chosen. You make the choice yourself. That is why you are here. Because you have made the choice, you have chosen yourself. Pearl leaned forward and took my hands in hers, looking into my eyes with a penetrating gaze that emanated a loving wisdom, then rose from her chair, indicating that our meeting was at a close. As I opened the door, I felt I was moving out into a new world, one suffused with light and instantaneously responsive to my wishes, where every thought was an immediate reality. I felt free of all limitation, possessed of a mastery by which I could change the world with no other tool than my mind. Without realizing it, I had been raised into the consciousness of my higher mental body, the intermediary between the physical body and the I am presence. I was raised 20 feet in the air, looking down on my physical body, the roofs of cars lining the street, and the roofs of the houses of the surrounding neighborhood. In this higher body, every thought became an instantaneous reality. As I thought of the violet consuming flame, waves of violet light filled the atmosphere, flowing out through the town, climbing the slopes of the surrounding mountains as waves of light. I recalled the words of Saint Germain. One day you will throw open the door of your human creation and stand forth in your ascended master body, a free being in the service of the light. Now his prediction had come true, and I prayed for this reality to be sustained forever. I lay down that night so energized I had no need to sleep. Free of my lower self, at last I knew what it was like to be a master. And I felt that soon I would join the other liberated ones, whose retreat is inside the mountain. However, when I awoke in the morning, I found that once again I was human, with the same bodily needs and concerns as before. Only this morning, I was not quite the same, for having once glimpsed that ascended master octave, the essence of which is free dominion, I knew I could never again completely succumb to the hypnotic illusion of human limitation that had previously held me in its thrall. The door had opened, and I had taken the first step through it toward permanent freedom. I knew that as my absorption in that consciousness increased through daily meditation upon it, so would my grasp of the scepter of dominion that is mastery.